make a start. It's not a hugely involved card, but I just wanted to go through a little bit of the detail with you. The things I'm going to be using today are the double aperture circle stencils. These are amazing, and I'm going to be doing some overlay inking with these today. Okay, now you can use this technique with these, which is what I'm using, and the squares and the rectangles. They'll all give you a different look, but I just particularly wanted to use the circles today. I'm also using the fabulous Oriental Poppies. They don't have to be red, mine aren't going to be red today. I'm also using the Hello Love, fabulous set of dies. Now I'm also using these two, which unfortunately at the moment are out of stock. So the first thing I wanted to show you was my background, and I'm using the circle stencils. Now this is the background that I've done, okay, and this is overlay inking. So it's literally inking through a stencil and then adding some more colour, and it just gives you that is it bokeh background, just for something a little bit different. So I cut out a heart, as you can see, but you could also use it as a DL or a rectangle or whatever you wanted really. Just ink your card with as much of a background as you want, and then cut your shapes out of it. So we'll just go through a little bit of that today. I'm not going to do it all. It's just a quick run through, just to show you really. So there's my circles, and you can see I'm using the smallest circle. Obviously there's a, not that one, there's a middle that goes in there as well. I'm just using that middle piece, but you can see how many different variations there are with these circles, how many different size circles you can get with these. I just think it's such a clever idea, such a fabulous little set, and very much underestimated in my opinion. So first things first, let's start our inking. Now I'm starting in the middle. You can start wherever you like, but I just thought starting in the middle would give me more of an option to overlap these circles. So that's why I started in the middle really, but you can start wherever you like, totally up to you. So I'm using Colour Cloud blending ink because white inks are few and far between, to be honest. Now on my original I used Kitsch Flamingo as the pink, so I've used the white ink in the middle and then I've used Kitsch Flamingo around the edge. But I'm using Spiced Marmalade today because I've cut out some of the poppies and I've cut them in sort of oranges and reds and yellows, so that's why I'm going to be using orange today. So first things first, get my brush for me Spiced Marmalade. I'm going to put my white ink in the middle here. This Colour Cloud does give sort of like a paint effect. And then I'm going to take my Spiced Marmalade. I'm starting on the stencil and I'm literally just brushing round the edge. You can see there's more ink on the stencil there than there is actually on the card. And I'm just going to brush that until it sort of blends quite nicely. Now rather than moving the stencil, on this occasion we're moving the card so that I've got a slight overlap on that first circle. And then I'm going in again with my white, which is obviously going to turn a little bit orange, but I don't mind that. You don't necessarily need to ink your brush up every time either, because there's quite a bit of ink on the stencil. Then you might be alright just taking the ink from the stencil. So again, move my card, overlap those two circles there, go in with my ink, and obviously I'm going over the previous circles that I've done because it's overlapping. Don't know why I've just inked that up. I'll go from the stencil, I think, just to show you how much ink there is on this stencil. And I'm only going around the edge of the circles, so it's just a case of ink with the white, And if you don't want to get too much of the orange, if you dab it as opposed to brush it, you won't pick up as much of the orange off the stencil. And then go around with the colour as well again. And just build it up. Just keep going till in the end you'll have a fabulous background. You just have this beautiful background that you can use, you know, for whatever, especially if you haven't sort of got any embossing folders or anything like that. So you see, if I just brush these bits off here, once you've finished, where your overlap comes is where your overlay inking is going to be, and you're just going to have the most fabulous background. And as I say, you can use the squares, you can use the rectangles, doesn't really matter. You'll just get a different look with each different shape. Now I've used the same size circle here. You could also change the size of the circles up if you wanted to. That's going to be a little bit more involved because obviously you're going to be changing stencils around as well as moving your card. But, you know, the only limit to this sort of thing is your own imagination. So you can use different sizes if you want to, or stick with the same size like I've done. It doesn't really matter. But you just carry on and build it all up and then cut out whatever shape you want to use. So I will finish that later, and I will use some of the flowers that I've cut this morning. So the other thing I used these for was on my base card, and I've got a square to go in the middle here. So on my base card, what I did was lift that up and then put my card where I want my semicircle. Obviously it's a different shape because I'm using a different circle, and then shape my line where I want it to be using 2 of the stencils, and then inked through that gap, and I've just gone all the way around the edge like that, just to give it a little bit of interest. So, you know, just something a little bit different really. So let's have a look at the pack of poppy dies. So this is the pack, and on the back it will show you what you're getting. Okay, so I've already cut some just to show you the different shapes. The leaf shape comes with a vein die as well, so you can cut the veins and add them to your leaves. And then you get a base flower, a middle and a smaller centre, 2 different shapes of flower. So I've cut them in different colours so that you can see how they will layer up. Okay, so what I did this morning was I've cut a few just so that you can see how easy they go together. You also get obviously the stems. There's a thicker stem for a taller poppy and a thinner stem for like a smaller poppy. So if you wanted to use the big one with the thick stem and then the smaller one with the thinner stem, you could if you wanted to use 2, like it shows you on the front of the pack. So this uses the thicker stem and this one uses the thinner one. And then you can see the leaf there with the vein on. Totally up to you how you choose to do it. So what I thought I would do is use 3 different colours and just layer them up so that you can see what they look like in different colours. So if we go with dark, lighter, and then lighter still, that one. So you see how Lisa's obviously shown you which centre goes with which flower. Okay, what I would say is when you're cutting these dies, if I just show you the actual dies, you can see there is quite a lot of detail. So when you cut them out, this is the sort of detail that you're getting. Okay, now no matter what machine you're using, they work on the same principle. They're a roller system, so the rollers take your plates and your card and your stencil, your dies through a machine, and over time those rollers will wear. Doesn't matter what machine you've got, it's just how it is, they will wear. So when you've got dies that are particularly detailed, I would recommend that you run them through 2 or 3 times. So just something to bear in mind when you're using intricate dies. It's not going to be the die that isn't cutting, it's going to be where your rollers have worn over time and it's not cutting properly. Okay, so 3 different layers, and then just layer them up however you want. So 1 colour there. You can use the same colour if you wanted to and just add a little bit of ink. Totally up to you again. It's whatever takes your fancy. It's whatever you think looks good to you, because there's no right or wrong. Whatever looks good to you is what you go with. It is totally personal choice, but they will look totally different depending on what you do with them. Okay, but they are easy to put together. I mean, there's 3 done there already. Okay, I haven't glued them, but you can see how easy they are to put together. But if you wanted to just go in 1 colour, then there's no reasoning why you can't do that either. So the centre goes in a particular way. You just have to follow the veins on the layer before. So you could do it all in 1 colour. And if you don't like it in 1 colour without any accents on, you can always just use a brush and just brush the edges of the flowers, the petals, or the centre, and just add some colour that way. It's entirely up to you. It doesn't really matter how you do it. No right way, no wrong way. Do what you want with the colours that you want to use. Okay, now I'm used Pitch Flamingo on this, but I've used a purple base card. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in the middle. 6x6 card today, just so that you know. Okay, so this is my heart that I cut out of my background card, and I think having that overlay inking along with the circles on the side, I think it just ties it all in nicely. I just love this technique. I just think it's really clever. Okay, so I'll pop my heart in the middle. As I say, never measure. It takes too much time to measure. Okay, and there's my flower. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but I have actually inked around the edge of the petals. I've used Villainous Poison on this occasion, just because it's a purple and the rest of my card is purple. But I've done it on every layer, and I've done a bit of extra inking in the middle. So on the base layer, I've added Villainous Poison in the middle, so that the little seed head bits here, when you look through, it's a darker purple rather than this pale purple that's at the bottom, because the centre of the flower is always darker than the outsides, isn't it? So then I'm using my stem. Now I'm going to chop this off because obviously it's too big for the card. You can place your stem wherever you want, place your flower on your stem wherever you want. If you want it to sort of hang down a bit, then you can. It doesn't really matter, because who knows where the stem's attached to the flower, because it's attached at the back, isn't it? So it could be anywhere really. So I'll pop my stem down first, and then I can trim that when I've added my flower. Okay, so if I add that there, then my flower can just go wherever I decide to put it in the end. And then I can chop the stem off. So then I'm just going to add my flower. Am I going to add my flower 3D or flat? Flat. I have shaped the flower, and I've used a rather large ball tool, and all I've done is literally gone round the very edge of the flower. I've used that foam mat, this one, and I've put the flower down. I'll show you on one of these that I've done. All I've done literally is just go round the very edge of the flower, just to give it some shape, and it will bend upwards eventually. If you want to, you can spray it with a little bit of water, which make it give quicker, but it just gives it a little bit of shape rather than it being flat. Can you see that? No, that's just, I've hardly touched that, but it has given it a bit of shape, and if you do that with everything gently, it will work. So I've just pop my flower down here, and when I've glued each layer to the layer before, I've only glued in the middle so that these layers actually lift proud. They're not all stuck down. Okay, so they're all like a liftable layer, if you like. Now I am adding a leaf because it comes in the set, and why wouldn't you? And I'm adding the leaf about there. So I'm actually only going to glue it along where it sticks on the heart, and then down here a little tiny bit. So just a sentiment to add, and as I said, I've used the Hello Love set, and I've cut it twice, cut two of the words twice, and I've used with love, and I've cut it in white, and I've cut it in the same dark purple that I've used in the centre of the flower here, so that it all ties in. So there you go. It's just a small card that you can send for any occasion. You can use whatever sentiment you want. It's just an idea that you can adapt to any shape of card that you're looking at, really. Okay, thank you so much for joining me again, and bye for now, everybody.